COVID. Dr. Fauci?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Ranking Member Burr, members of the committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to discuss with you again the role of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in the research response addressing COVID-19. As I've mentioned to this committee on prior hearings, the strategic plan for research for NIAID involves research on fundamental basic knowledge regarding the virus, the development of diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines. For the purposes of today's discussion and my presentation, I'd like to focus on 3 vaccines that you know have been approved through the emergency use authorization for use in the United States. And that is the 2 mRNA vaccines from Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna, and the J&J vaccine, which is a human adenovirus vector vaccine. As I mentioned to this committee on prior hearings, the clinical trials that proved the extraordinary efficaciousness of these vaccines to the tune of 93 and 94% are very, very clear right now. What I'd like to emphasize today is what has transpired since the last hearing, and that is the accumulation of data on the real-world effectiveness of these vaccines in a situation we are confronted with a historic pandemic. And that is seen not only in the United States, but also in the UK in the form of England and Scotland, in Israel, Qatar, and other places. When one looks at the data, and one good example is the cohort study from Israel, in which the mRNA vaccine used in that population was highly effective in the real world beyond the clinical trial, including among asymptomatic, early symptomatic, advanced disease, intensive care, and even deaths. And if one looked across the cohort, you saw that it was effective in essentially every age group, from young individuals, middle-aged, and even the elderly. That's the good news. The sobering news that you've already heard of is the fact that we are now challenged with a very difficult and problematic variant referred to as the Delta variant. It has now been detected in at least 90+ countries throughout the world. The reason it's so formidable is the fact that it has the capability of transmitting efficiently from human to human in an extraordinary manner, well beyond any of the other variants that we've experienced up to now, which has led to its becoming the dominant variant in this country. When I spoke to you last time, it was about 1 to 3% of the variants in the population. Right now, it's gone to over 80%, and in some regions of the country, as high as 90%. That is the troubling news. The fact is that, however, and the importance of vaccination, is that our vaccines that we're using in this country are very effective against this variant, particularly, I point out, to the situation regarding advanced disease leading to hospitalizations and deaths, where it's still well in the 90% of effectiveness. I'd like to close with just 1 or 2 comments that we've been hearing about regarding the situation of booster, or an additional 3rd dose superimposed upon the double doses of the mRNA and the single dose of the J&J. Right now, we are doing studies to determine whether or not we will need boosters to increase the durability of protection. We don't want people to believe that when you're talking about boosters, that means that the vaccines are not effective. They are highly effective. We're talking about the durability of that, and we're doing studies now to determine that. In addition, there are individuals who are immunosuppressed, people who are on cancer chemotherapy, a variety of other individuals, transplant individuals, who may actually need a boost as part of their initial regimen in the sense of getting them up to the point where they are protected. So in closing, I want to underscore what Dr. Walensky just said a few moments ago, the extraordinary importance of getting as many people vaccinated as we possibly can. We have the tools to end this epidemic. It is up to us to utilize those tools to their maximum. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.